Hey everyone, this is a video for Wednesday for everyone that missed out on today's class. We started talking more and more about exponent rules, and here are the notes that we went over. Okay, so up until this point, we have covered all the rules of exponents. What happens when I have 0 as an exponent? What happens when I have a negative number as an exponent? What happens when I multiply with the same base, when I divide with the same base, or when I raise a power to a power? So we've been learning about all those skills in isolation. Now we're going to start to bring all of those rules together when we're simplifying these expressions. So you should already have all these notes. I just put them all in one place. So if you want to copy these down, please pause the video. Definitely get this part down, which is the correct order in which we need to simplify these expressions. And it'll make more sense once we start doing these example problems. But when I give you a big, ugly expression and I ask you to simplify it, you're going to start by raising the power to a power. So any exponents there, we're just going to multiply those exponents together. The next step is going to be either multiply or divide if they have the same base. And then lastly, we're going to deal with negative and 0 exponents. Okay, so this will come into play today and using today's worksheet, but it's really important that you're following that specific order. Okay, I'm going to do 3 example problems and we will put this order to use here. We're going to do 2m to the 9th, all in parentheses, raised to the 3rd power. So our most recent skill that we learned was raising a power to a power. If it was just like this, there's one term in the parentheses. All we need to do is multiply the 9 times the 3. But because there's 2 terms in there now, we're going to use our friend, the distributive property, and we're going to distribute that exponent of 3 to the 2 terms that are inside the parentheses. So 2 raised to the 3rd power, I'm just going to write it like this, and m to the 9th raised to the 3rd power. We know when we are raising a power to a power, we just multiply. So 9 times 3 is 27. That's our new exponent for the m term. I can take this a step further by doing 2 to the 3rd power. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So this becomes 8m to the 27th power. That's it. Okay, so this skill right here is using this exponent and distributing to what's inside the parentheses, which is what we're going to see a lot more of coming up. Okay, next, 4z to the negative 4th power. Just like up here, we need to distribute the exponent to what's inside the parentheses. There are 2 terms. There's a 4 and a z. We're going to distribute it separately. Four is going to be raised to the negative 4 power. And the z to the 4th power. Well, even though there's not an exponent written here, we know that if there's nothing written, we assume it's 1. There's an invisible 1. So now I can just do 1 times negative 4. And that's going to give me my new exponent of negative 4. Great. We've raised a power to a power, number 1. There's not any multiplying or dividing to do because these are not similar bases. There's nothing we can do there, but we do need to deal with these negative exponents. Remember, we don't want to leave an expression unsimplified with a negative exponent. So we are going to send these two to the denominator. Remember, all these problems can be written over 1. And with the negative exponent, that's just going to send it down to the denominator. So my new fraction is going to be 1 over 4 to the 4th power times z also to the 4th power. Remember, when I have this negative exponent, it gets dropped down to the denominator, and that negative exponent turns into positive. Okay. And I could do 4 raised to the fourth power, which I don't have my calculator in front of me, so I'm not going to do that, but we could simplify that further if I had a calculator handy. Okay, last problem is x to the 7th, parentheses 3x squared, y, close parentheses, -2. All right, now we've got multiplication, we've got raising the power to a power, we've got a negative exponent, we've got a lot going on, but let's go back to our checklist here. We're going to start with raising that power to a power. So in this case, I need to raise there's 3 terms in my parentheses, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to raise all those to the -2. My x is just going to go along for the ride. X to the 7th, this becomes 3 to the -2nd. Remember, there's a 1 that's in front of that 3 or any whole number. 1 times 2 is -2. This x term, well, the exponent is +2. We're going to multiply that by -2. We're going to end up with -4. And this y, even though there's no exponent, we know there's 1. And 1 times -2 is -2. Yes. Okay, cool. We've raised our power to a power. Now we just got a big, long multiplication problem. Remember, since there's no symbols in between these terms, we assume multiplication. So we're looking for terms that have the same base. And those terms are our x's here. So we can combine those like terms of our x's because they have the same base. When we are multiplying, which we are with the same base, all we need to do is add those exponents. So 7 plus -4, that's going to give us a +3. So that's going to be my new exponent for the x term. So x to the 3rd. And then everything else just falls down because I can't combine it with anything. 3 to the -2, y to the -2. Okay. We've multiplied. Now we need to deal with the negative exponents. Remember, even if it doesn't look like it's in fractional form, we can put it in fractional form over 1, and we need to drop these 2 negative exponents to the denominator. So that's what we're going to do. What happens? Well, I'll do my division line. What happens to this x term here? Does it stay or does it go? Well, it's positive, so it stays in the numerator, where the 3 squared is going to go down and the y squared is going to go down. Notice that my negative exponents turned into positive once they went into the denominator. I can clean this 3 squared up. So my final answer becomes 9y to the 2nd, all underneath x to the 3rd power. And that's all I got for you. Use that worksheet and really pay attention to the order in which you do the rules. Thanks for watching. Bye.